What if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, 7 days unfolded that would forever alter the destiny of the world? Imagine a man publicly condemned and brutally executed before a watching world, who didn't just face death, he defeated it. This isn't merely a tale of sacrifice. It's the untold story of the ultimate clash between life and death, between darkness and light. What did the resurrection of Jesus Christ truly mean? Why does his triumph over the grave still echo across continents, cultures, and generations? The empty tomb was not the end. It was the beginning of something no empire, no ideology, no human force has ever been able to stop. Stay with us until the end and uncover the mystery that forever changed the heartbeat of humanity. And if this story touches your soul, don't forget to subscribe and share, because you never know whose life it might transform next. Let us dive into the most sacred, most astonishing 7 days in human history. The soft morning breeze swept gently across the hills of Jerusalem, carrying with it the murmurs of a city on edge. Word had spread like wildfire, whispers of a man who had walked through towns and villages, healing the sick, calming storms, and speaking about a kingdom not of this world. Jesus of Nazareth, the man of miracles, was approaching the gates of the holy city. With his arrival, Jerusalem buzzed with anticipation. But this was no ordinary arrival. As Jesus and his followers neared the city's stone walls, the golden sun bathed everything in a celestial glow. People poured into the streets, forming a sea of bodies that flowed through narrow alleys and open courtyards. A fervent chorus of voices arose, filled with excitement and reverence. "Hosanna!" they cried out, their voices trembling with emotion. They laid their cloaks across the road, forming a makeshift royal carpet. Palm branches waved like banners of hope. They welcomed him not as a mere teacher, but as a king. Yet the man they called Messiah rode not on a war horse, but on a humble donkey. He did not wear armor. He bore no crown. His face was not the face of one chasing glory. His gaze seemed distant, knowing. He was not entering Jerusalem to claim a throne of gold, but to fulfill a purpose only he fully understood. The disciples followed closely, their hearts caught between awe and confusion. They had seen him walk on water, raise the dead, and silence storms with a word. Yet something about this moment felt different. Peter, bold and outspoken, looked around at the crowds with pride, and also with unease. This wasn't the kind of glory he had expected. Jesus rode on, silent, serene. The cheers of the crowd rang in the air, but the religious leaders watched from the shadows. The Pharisees, keepers of tradition and law, whispered among themselves. "Do you see what he is doing?" they murmured, alarm growing in their voices. "If we let this continue, soon the whole world will follow him." To them, Jesus wasn't a savior. He was a threat, a man challenging the established order. His growing influence ignited a fear they could not ignore. Behind closed doors, they began plotting. They would not stand idly by. As Jesus reached the city gates, he paused. He looked upon Jerusalem, not with triumph, but with sorrow. If only you knew today what would bring you peace, he whispered. But now it is hidden from your eyes. He wept, not for himself, but for the city, for the people who would reject the very one sent to save them. The moment was bittersweet. While the disciples rejoiced, Jesus carried the weight of the mission ahead. This was not the end of a journey, but the beginning of the most profound act of love the world had ever known. The sun climbed higher as Jesus made his way toward the temple. The city hummed with energy, but something was deeply wrong. The temple, once a sanctuary of holiness, had become a place of commerce and corruption. Vendors barked prices. Coins clinked. Animals cried out in cages meant for sacrifice. What was meant to be a house of prayer now resembled a marketplace. Jesus stopped. His eyes scanned the scene, not with indifference, but with righteous fire. He stepped forward, and with a sudden force that stunned everyone, he overturned the tables of the money changers. Coins scattered across the stone floor. Cages tumbled. Birds flew upward in a burst of feathers. "It is written," he shouted, "My Father's house shall be a house of prayer, but you have turned it into a den of thieves." The temple fell silent. All eyes were on him. The disciples were speechless. They had never seen him like this. Wasn't he the Prince of Peace? Why this display of holy anger? But Jesus was not acting out of rage. He was confronting the deep-rooted sin that had defiled the heart of worship. This wasn't just about money. It was about betrayal. A system that was supposed to connect people with God had become a means to exploit them. The religious authorities, humiliated and enraged, approached him. "By what authority do you do these things?" they demanded. "Who gave you the right?" Jesus looked at them, calm and unshaken. "Destroy this temple," he said, "and I will raise it up in 3 days." They scoffed. It had taken decades to build the temple. How could one man rebuild it in days? But he wasn't speaking of bricks and mortar. He was speaking of his body. He was the true temple. And soon that temple would be broken and rebuilt. As the week progressed, tensions mounted. Jesus taught with boldness. He challenged hypocrisy. He revealed mysteries that had been hidden for generations, and the leaders of the people hated him for it. They tried to wrap him with questions. They tested him with twisted logic. But each time, he answered with wisdom that silenced their schemes. Meanwhile, his fame grew. Children sang his name. The poor and the outcast gathered near. People hung on his every word. But not everyone in the crowd truly understood. Some wanted a political savior, someone to overthrow Rome. Others wanted more miracles, more signs, more wonders. Few grasped the depth of what was unfolding. Then came the final night. Jesus gathered with his disciples in an upper room. The mood was heavy, though few understood why. He took bread, broke it, and gave thanks. "This is my body," he said, "broken for you." Then he took a cup of wine. "This is my blood," he said, "poured out for the forgiveness of sins." The disciples ate and drank, unaware that they were partaking in a covenant that would change the world. Later that night, in a garden called Gethsemane, Jesus knelt in anguish. He prayed, "Father, if it is possible, take this cup from me. But not my will, yours be done." Sweat fell from his brow like drops of blood. The weight of the coming sacrifice crushed him. And then, under the cover of night, one of his own betrayed him. Judas, one of the 12, arrived with armed soldiers. He kissed Jesus, a signal of betrayal. Jesus was arrested. He was taken to be sentenced to death. The crowds that once cried, "Hosanna," now shouted, "Crucify him." He was forced to carry his cross through the same street where he had been hailed as king. And then, at the place of the skull, he was crucified. Nails pierced his hands and feet. A crown of thorns was forced upon his head. He was lifted up between two criminals. Darkness fell over the land. And then, with a loud cry, he gave up his spirit. "It is finished." The earth trembled. The veil of the temple, symbolizing the barrier between God and man, was torn in two. 3 days passed. Grief filled the hearts of those who loved him. Hope seemed lost. But early on the 3rd day, as the sun began to rise, some women approached the tomb. They found the stone rolled away. An angel stood there and said, "Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen." The news spread like wildfire. Jesus appeared, alive. He walked it with his disciples, with them, spoke with them. He had conquered death, not with armies, not with swords, but with sacrificial love. The resurrection of Jesus is not just an event, it's a revolution. It marked the defeat of death, the forgiveness of sins, and the birth of a new creation. The empty tomb is proof that darkness doesn't win. That suffering is not the final word. That hope is not in vain. Jesus rose, not just to live again, but to offer life to all who believe. No empire could stop it. No grave could hold him. No lie could erase the truth. He lives, and because he lives, everything changes. Today, his voice still calls out to the broken, to the hopeless, to the seeker and the skeptic. He doesn't offer religion. He offers relationship. Not a system, but a savior. This is not just a story, it is the story. The turning point in human history. The victory that shook both heaven and hell. So what does it mean for you? It means your past doesn't define you. It means forgiveness is real. It means death is not the end. It means you are loved deeply, completely, eternally. Over 2,000 years later, the echo of those 7 days still reverberates through time. From crowded cities to quiet villages, from cathedrals to prison cells, from the highest towers to the lowest valleys, his light still shines. And it all began with a man on a donkey. A man who walked willingly into pain. A man who gave everything. so we could be free. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe, share it, reflect on it, because this message is more than ancient history. It's the heartbeat of eternity. And maybe, just maybe, it was meant to find you today. Welcome to the story that changed the world. And that can change your life too.